Hi guys, it's April and today's stream might be a little shorter than normal if I can get my words out correctly. I do want to finish Dorothy. I don't know if I want to start in on Blanche. I don't know if I'm mentally in the right space to do that, but we'll just kind of go with the flow. How does that sound? I pulled out the colors to finish out Dorothy. And right now it's just her hair, her eyes, and of course her jewelry. And then we'll have half the Golden Girls done, which super exciting. I'm gonna actually start you zoomed in. Because kind of doesn't make sense otherwise, since it's so small. I might go in and like fix the background where you can still see some of these lines. I wasn't gonna do that yet, but since I'm right here and I can see it and it's driving me nuts, I still might do it. Okay. I'm just gonna start in with the black. I'm gonna get has this strip right here. And the rest of it's just shading from her face. Here is one of those weird things. Where shading can kind of go a little all over the place on you. Especially when it's a mix of actual shading and just gray hair. There's actual different colors in the hair. Hi, Leslie. I'm so glad you're here. Slow down. Because why not? Just doing what I want to do. Okay, so this is Warm Gray 4, which is 273. Oh, nice, Leslie. I hope the Black Widow treats you well. I do have to say, the packaging for those colored pencils is pretty on point. You might want to skip straight to the white and add some highlights in there so I don't lose the light spots, because that warm gray is pretty much the same color as that Copic. So I'm just going to grab the white, which is 101, and I'm going to find that highlight zone. She's got that strip of lighter color at her temple. And she's got a few highlights here and there, but overall it's not a ton. You just don't want to lose that texture of her hair. That is super exciting. You gotta love when you can complete things like that. It's kind of how I started out with the polys. Is I'm like, I'm just gonna buy a few here or there. I'm not gonna go crazy with it. And then it's like, let me just grab all of these. Granted, that did happen over a full year. But my husband was very, very kind and got me the full set of Holbeins, which I have to say was one of the best things ever. I like to do the hair in the same direction, like color it in the same direction that the hair is going. So you still have that texture going on. Now the weird thing is, I might not use some of these darker colors. I might just stick with these three. The black, the white, and cool gray 4. So I think that might give me the color range I'm looking for. I shouldn't be using a gray. It's the warm gray. It's the warm gray 4. Why was I saying cool gray? Because you need those warm undertones, because it's almost hinting at that brown. Come back with the white. painting dragons, the creatures, I would assume that they would smell probably very dinosaur-esque, very lizard-esque. Come back and that's true, they might have a little bit of a sulfurness to them too. Unless it's a water dragon. Maybe a little bit of a kelp smell? I just got done reading the first book in a series that dealt with dragons. And of course, it leaned more on the side of the water dragons instead of the European fire dragons. And I have to say, I quite enjoyed it. I was going to do a live stream where I talked about that book today, but pushed it back a couple weeks. Life is crazy. I'm so done with February. Which I suppose gives people more time if they wanted to read it before the live show. They totally good. It's called Six Crimson Cranes. It's a retelling of Six Swans, which is one of my favorite fairy tales. And of course it gives it a little bit of that Asian twist, where you've got cranes and water dragons and of course paper cranes, which I like how all of that was woven together. But it is the first part in a series. I think I knew that going in, but then I forgot. And the next one I think comes out either in the summer or in the fall this year. I'm enjoying how that's looking. I'm going to quickly shift to her eyes. This is Nougat 178. But I'm also probably going to come in there with the black. Give it a little bit of depth. Of course, I will come back with the Posca. And give her some sparkle in her eyes. Okay, now these two I think will come in handy in doing her jewelry, because it looks like it's kind of one of those big costume pearl-like pieces. We just need grays. This is the Warm Gray 3272, and this of course is the Warm Gray 1270. I think we'll probably come back with a Posca on that too. Kind of get rid of that line where they have for the highlight and just make it a white highlight. Shake it up. That was almost a little too much. Of course, then I smeared it. Be careful. Okay, going back, fixing her eye. If we can. Just keep throwing pencils around. I have never had to put anything down with the polys. I know they're oil based, but I have never really had an issue. But I think it's going to come down to the type of paper you're using too. A lot of the coloring books that I color in don't have the best quality paper for colored pencils to begin with. So the way the pencil glides on the paper isn't what you usually expect when you're professionally using colored pencils, where you're getting a lot of that ability to layer and merge and kind of smudge together. So I mean, like, even now, I mean, I've burnished a lot of this in so much that it's not going to move. So the tooth is pretty much gone under the parts that I've already done. It only took me about 30 minutes, and theoretically I'm done with her. But I'm gonna start playing a little bit with the background, which pink, I got the dark flesh and the pink matter for. Pink matter, dark flesh. I'm gonna sharpen these real quick. I do know when I was doing my giant piece for Thomas Kincaid, the tangled piece, there were moments in that I had so much color put down and I was still kind of layering that if you pressed your hand down too hard on the piece of paper, you could smudge it, but it still wasn't really that smudgeable. Okay, so I've got Dark Flesh 130 and Pink Matter Lake 129. These are the kind of the two that I had pulled for working with background. I don't know how much I'm actually going to be able to do, given how much paint I put down, and I know if you put at least a thin layer down of acrylic paint, it's a trick I learned from Dee Dee a long time ago. You can still kind of color over it with colored pencils, but I put a pretty thick layer down trying to get those lines to completely disappear, and it's very, very latexy. So I don't know if I can actually get some of those lines that are annoying me to actually get to disappear. And I think on screen they're not showing up as much as I can see right in front of me. But one can hope that if I kind of play with this, with these two colors, I can layer in there enough. Really wish they hadn't have put that pattern background in there. And I'm pretty much just going back and forth with these two colors. Since I don't have an exact match. To the paint color. back with some of the gray. So we don't want to lose definition of her hair. You don't necessarily have to get too close to Blanche just yet, because I'll probably definitely do the same thing. When I'm starting to do her, just come back with the background, and I'll probably do the same thing when I get to Rose as well. This is just my my test to see if I can get it to turn out how I want. Let's zoom out so you can get the full feel of where all of this is sitting. I feel like I want a smoother transition from her hairline into her hair. Wondering if, okay, I'm either going to regret this or it's going to be brilliant. See if we can slowly fade out a very harsh, crisp line. We don't necessarily need it. It makes sense on some parts. So I'm just putting the Posca on and then wiping it off before it sets. But it's kind of smearing it, which is lightening everything up. So it's really whitening out that one strip of hair. But then if it gets too crazy and I'm not happy with it, I can go back and add a little bit of graying back in. But what I'm happy with is now the line between her face and her hair. It isn't that dark contrast that doesn't feel right. Adding that texture back in. I like that. Okay, now I'm just going to kind of what I might do after I kind of get the background right around all of the girls is I might come back with some petroleum jelly and see if smoothing out some of the coloring that I'm doing on top of the paint. And kind of even it out. But otherwise, I think she's looking pretty good. I think all of it's looking pretty good. Granted, I did say that I would probably wait to do the rest of the background around the ladies when I got to each of them. But part of me wonders if I don't just do a good base now so that it's all uniform and it doesn't have a different feel when I get to them. I might do a quick pass all the way around. Especially since I still have to do, say, their hair and stuff. So I don't want to keep myself from being able to do their hairlines. But it is something kind of simple to do that I think my brain can handle. So maybe I'll just do a quick pass. All the way around. I will say the shine from that paint definitely drives me nuts at times. But I didn't want to water it down and dilute it because then you lose that opacity, which is the whole reason I was using the paints in the first place. But I will say, I'm pressing harder than I really want to, and it is hurting my hands. I was going to wait to use the petroleum jelly, but I might do it today. Best laid plans, right? Best laid plans. I just don't want to attempt to try and make this paint color again. At a certain angle, I can't even tell what I'm doing because of the light. Put those down real quick. Petroleum jelly is coming out, and I don't even know if this is going to work the way I want it to. Too much, too much. Abort. Red and shiny, on top of shiny. This might have been a bad idea. I just wanted to smooth out the haloing that I was creating. I'm not 100% sure that helped. Sometimes you just gotta experiment though. This is, okay, so a good trick to know when you want to blend colored pencils, and you're not getting that smooth finish that you want, if you take some petroleum jelly, just put a little bit on a Q-tip, you can actually get the pigment to start kind of smearing together. You can't see it very well on this piece, but here I can show you. kind of what I'm doing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of pink. I'm going to lay that down, and then I'm going to put it next to, oh, I don't know. Let's do it with this brown color. So right now you can see a little bit of that white showing through. I think it works on both. Because it's more of moving both the wax, the oil, and the pigment. So I believe it works with both, but don't don't quote me on that. But yeah, you just kind of take this Q-tip, and you can kind of just start. And this is probably the worst paper ever to do this on, but it also gives you the ability to come back and add more layers over top when you've run out of tooth. Because what it does is it gets that pigment into the tooth of the paper, which is probably why this was a bad example, is because it's like a blender. See, it kind of like pushes the stuff around. That was a completely horrible example of trying to show you what the heck I'm doing. But it'll give you a smoothness to the pencil that you might not have been able to get otherwise, and then it allows you to go back and possibly add more stuff over top. I mean, as long as you don't like leave a whole bunch of the petroleum all over the page. You gotta wipe up all the excess. I like to use it a lot when I'm doing big backgrounds, because I get impatient. I don't want to sit there and spend a whole lot of time layering it up and trying to get a smoothness that'll take hours and hours and hours and hours. Of course, I forgot to zoom back out when I was doing all of that. The real question that can be asked is, did I actually really achieve anything by doing all of that? I don't know. It made me feel slightly better about myself. the weird thing. When you're too close to a piece and you're working on it, it's sometimes hard to remember where it was when you started out. I suppose if this isn't perfect, it's a learning experience. And I suppose the lines that I'm trying to remove don't show up quite as much on camera as they do in front of my face. I might just be worrying about nothing. Which I have to tell you, I am a professional at doing. That's evening the color is kind of what I was hoping it would do. I can't say I've ever used petroleum over top of acrylic paint before, so I wasn't quite sure how that would go. And maybe I'll just call it good for now. Slick texture in the paint itself. It's driving me nuts. Oh, that was my tummy talking. I think I might just be happy with where it's at right now. I'll probably come back and fiddle around with the background again. In fact, I almost guarantee it. Just because that's just who I am. A piece is never truly done, right? Maybe next time I'll do a little bit of research to see if there's something better I could have done to even out that background or to cover up those lines in the background. Okay, I need to stop. I need to stop. Stopping. Ah! Okay. I know it wasn't a full hour. We were close to it, but like I said, um, I just wanted to finish Dorothy. I didn't necessarily want to start getting into Blanche. Um, I don't think I'm quite ready for that. Um, we will definitely do Blanche next time. I will put up a reminder if you want to put it on your calendars for the next coloring session. I do hope I will see you all there. I'm enjoying where this piece is going, playing around with a few things, which is kind of fun. Experimenting. Always experimenting. So, like I said, I hope to see you guys next time. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I heart your beautiful faces.